Hello, welcome to BioBiz Buzz, where we dive deep into the cutting-edge innovations reshaping biotechnology, pharma, and medical devices. I'm your host, Shani Alexander, and I'm a journalist with BioWorld. BioWorld is a leading publication that provides news, data, and analysis on the latest developments in the world of drugs and technologies. In today's episode of BioBiz Buzz, we're exploring a technology that could fundamentally transform how patients experience chronic disease treatment. Picture this. There are millions of people struggling with obesity and type 2 diabetes who face a daily battle not just with their condition, but with medication adherence. Studies show that over 70% of patients discontinue GLP-1 therapies within 2 years, despite their proven effectiveness. What if there was a way to eliminate missed doses, reduce side effects, and ensure consistent therapeutic levels for months at a time? Today, I'm happy to be joined by Dr. Adam Mendelsohn, co-founder and CEO of Vivani Medical, a clinical-stage biopharmaceutical company that's pioneering a revolutionary approach to drug delivery. Their NanoPortal platform technology promises to deliver medications steadily for up to 6 or 12 months through a miniature subdermal implant that is smaller than a grain of rice. From a university basement to a publicly traded company tackling one of healthcare's biggest challenges, Dr. Mendelsohn's journey embodies the grit and innovation driving biotech forward. So let's dive in. Adam, welcome to BioBiz Buzz. Let's start with the problem you're solving. Medication non-adherence is a massive issue in healthcare, particularly with injectable therapies like GLP-1s. Can you paint a picture for us of just how significant this challenge is?
Well, first of all, let me say thank you for having me here, Shani. It is an absolute pleasure. And you are absolutely right. Medication non-adherence is one of what we believe to be the most underappreciated crises in healthcare. When we look specifically within GLP-1 therapies at real-world data, we see that a small fraction of patients, in one case only about 27%, remain adherent during their first year of treatment. For daily injectables like liraglutide, median persistence is just 4 months. Another surprising fact is that medication adherence is also remarkably low, even with easy-to-take oral daily pills. Now, what is particularly frustrating is that these are incredibly effective medications. We have seen remarkable results in clinical trials during which adherence rates are much higher than they are in the real world, at least 85%. But in the real world, these patients struggle with medication adherence for a wide variety of reasons, including forgetfulness, side effects, for both injectable and oral medications. And in contrast, once our miniature implants are inserted, the patients and the caregivers can be confident that the intended medicine is being delivered throughout the once or twice yearly dosing interval.
That's a staggering gap between clinical efficacy and real-world effectiveness. Now you've developed the NanoPortal platform to address this. Can you walk us through how this technology actually works?
Absolutely. The NanoPortal platform is built around a fundamental principle. If we can maintain steady, consistent drug levels over extended periods, we can both guarantee adherence and potentially improve tolerability. Now, the technology centers on vertically aligned titanium oxide nanotubes. You can think of them as incredibly tiny, precise channels. These nanotubes are about 30 or 40 micrometers in length and firmly attached to a titanium substrate with openings that are close to the size of individual drug molecules at the nanometer scale, and with millions of these openings that enable us to control the rate of release. Now, that pore sizing is the key innovation. And when the size is close enough in size to a drug molecule, we can achieve near constant, steady rate medication delivery over many months at a time. Now, the entire implant can range from the size of a grain of rice or potentially a match thick, depending on the dosage and the drug and the requirements for the patient, but in any case, very small. And it can be inserted under the skin using a simple procedure during a routine primary care office visit. It has a very space design, which means it consists almost entirely of the medicine and not other components of the device, allowing for extended treatment durations without the bulk of many of the traditional delivery systems.
Okay, that's fascinating. So, unlike other extended release systems, you can deliver large hydrophilic molecules like peptides and proteins. How does that extend the potential applications?
That's exactly right. And it's one of our key differentiators. Most extended release implant technologies have only been successfully commercially applied to small molecules, whereas our NanoPortal technology can accommodate a much broader range of therapeutic molecules, including the GLP-1 peptides that we are currently developing. This flexibility means that we can potentially address not just diabetes and obesity, but potentially many chronic conditions for which steady delivery of therapeutic molecules, including peptides and proteins, are required. Now, the platform is inherently customizable. We can adjust the pore size to accommodate different types of molecules, the number of nanotubes to control the rate of release, and we can work with high drug concentrations to minimize the implant size and achieve specific release profiles for different therapeutic applications.
Okay. So, now let's talk about your pipeline. Your lead program, NPM 139, is a 6-month GLP-1 implant for chronic weight management. Can you tell us which stage you are with this and what upcoming milestones that we should be looking out for?
Definitely. Now, while I just mentioned our NanoPortal platform having broad potential applicability, we have decided to initially focus on GLP-1 implants for use in the treatment of obesity and type 2 diabetes.
Mhm.
We recently completed our first clinical study with the technology called Liberate 1 with a product called NPM 115 that uses the GLP-1 exenatide. Now, Liberate 1 produced positive safety and tolerability data, as well as encouraging performance data that provided us with the confidence to continue development with nanoportal technology. But during the conduct of that clinical study, we generated very positive preclinical feasibility data with another pipeline candidate, NPM 139, that incorporates the GLP-1 semaglutide, which is the active ingredient in the blockbuster products Ozempic and Wegovy. Now, based on the successful performance of the implant technology in Liberate 1 and the new positive preclinical data with semaglutide, we have decided to move forward and prioritize the semaglutide implant NPM 139 in our next clinical study, which we expect to begin in the first half of 2026, so just around the corner. The decision to prioritize development of a semaglutide implant with once or twice yearly dosing was an easy one considering the tremendous success and additional clinical potential that the marketed semaglutide products Ozempic and Wegovy have enjoyed. Now, the exciting thing about our approach is that we're not just developing another GLP-1. We are reimagining how these proven therapies can be delivered. By maintaining steady drug levels over 6 months or more, we anticipate the possibility of improved tolerability profiles, which is one of the biggest complaints associated with this drug class, compared to the fluctuating levels that one receives with daily or weekly administrations, particularly when they miss doses on a frequent basis.
Wow. For patients taking GLP-1s, the technology certainly promises to improve their adherence levels once you finish clinical trials and it gets to the market. So now, from a business perspective, you went public through a merger in 2022. How has that journey been, and what does the competitive landscape look like for long-acting drug delivery systems?
So the journey has been, a mix of challenging and rewarding. We formed Vivani Medical through the merger of Nano Precision Medical, which I co-founded back in 2011, with Second Sight Medical Products. Going public did give us a lot of the resources to advance our clinical programs, but it has also meant navigating the complexities of being a public company in what has been, over the last few years, a very challenging biotech environment. Now, the competitive landscape for extended release delivery is heating up, but most implantable approaches, which can provide sustained delivery and can also be reversed if necessary, are limited to small molecules or require complex pumps and electronics. And the near term injectable approaches are generally limited to once weekly, what's on the market right now, or once monthly, that may be coming, that without offering the peace of mind that our implant provides regarding the ability to discontinue treatment immediately if that were to become necessary, such as if a patient develops a condition for which continued GLP-1 treatment would be contraindicated. So our advantage is the simplicity and versatility of the NanoPortal platform. No moving parts, no electronics, the ability to deliver large molecules consistently with infrequent dosing, and the ability to reverse treatment quickly if necessary.
Okay. Looking at the broader implications, if successful, how do you see this technology reshaping treatment paradigms for chronic diseases?
I think that we are looking at a fundamental shift from treatment management to treatment assurance. Today, chronic disease management places a huge burden on patients, remembering doses, managing side effects, frequent clinic visits. Our technology could move us towards a model where patients receive a simple procedure every 6 or 12 months and know that they're getting optimal, consistent therapy. Beyond individual patient outcomes, this could have massive implications for healthcare economics. Poor medication adherence costs the US healthcare system hundreds of billions of dollars annually, with one estimate suggesting $500 billion annually in the US alone. If we could ensure that patients get the full benefit of their prescribed therapies, we might be looking at both better outcomes and significant cost savings.
That would certainly be incredible. So, what would you say are the biggest challenges ahead for Vivani as you advance through clinical development?
Well, like any biotech company, we face the typical challenges of clinical development, ensuring that we demonstrate safety and efficacy, managing timelines and costs, and ultimately demonstrating that our approach delivers meaningful benefits over existing treatments. But I think our biggest opportunity and challenge is proving that steady delivery truly improves the tolerability profile of these medications. If we can show that consistent drug levels reduces the gastrointestinal side effects that drive many patients to discontinue this treatment, this could be a game changer for the field. Now, competition in the GLP-1 space is formidable, but we believe the majority of development stage programs will not end up providing meaningful advantages over the currently marketed products. At Vivani, we believe that better convenience, adherence, and potentially tolerability are key benefits. And we are the only company we know of developing a GLP-1 product designed for once or twice yearly dosing.
Okay, thanks, Adam. Before we wrap up, I have to ask, you started this in a university basement. For aspiring biotech entrepreneurs listening, what advice would you give about turning academic research into a viable company?
Yes, well, we did quite literally start in the basement of the bioengineering department at UC Berkeley a number of years ago, and very fond memories of those times. My biggest advice is that great technology alone is not enough. You need to deeply understand all of the other considerations associated with developing a successful business, including the clinical need that you're solving and the market realities, regulatory, legal, intellectual property, and everything else that goes into it. I would surround yourself with people that complement your skills and your knowledge. For me as a bioengineer, I had to learn about clinical development, regulatory pathways, business strategy, and a number of other things, including how to effectively deal with the team and the people that we would need to ultimately achieve success. And building a team with diverse expertise and finding mentors who have navigated these challenges before is critical. And lastly, it is important to never give up so long as a clear eyed assessment supports continuing the effort. We encountered many obstacles along the way, and we have overcome each one so far. And each time an obstacle is overcome, we had to evaluate whether proceeding continued to make sense if we were starting from scratch. And each time we agreed that it did make sense. Now, one step at a time, we have made tremendous progress, but perseverance can be key to both staying alive throughout the journey, which is challenging to do, and ultimately achieving success.
That's great. Thanks for that, Adam. And as we wrap up today's episode, it's clear that Vivani Medical is tackling one of healthcare's most persistent challenges with an innovative approach that could benefit millions of patients worldwide. The potential to transform medication adherence through miniature long-acting implants represents exactly the kind of breakthrough innovation that drives our industry forward. Adam, thank you for sharing your thoughts and the fascinating work happening at Vivani Medical. To our listeners, we'll be following the company's clinical progress closely, and I encourage you to stay tuned for updates on their pipeline development. If you have any questions or topics you'd like to discuss in future episodes of BioBiz Buzz, please send your responses to interviews@biobizbuzz.com. To stay updated on the upcoming editions of BioBiz Buzz, follow our LinkedIn page where we will post alerts about new episodes. This has been BioBiz Buzz, and I'm Shani Alexander. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Shani.